This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
It's your favorite basketball player, Tyler Hansbrough.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Houshmandzadeh.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
Duke sucks and Duke will always suck.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It just makes sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Is that a dig at me?
I would definitely bet on your guys' demise. That is for sure.
I've thought about starting a GoFundMe just for DraftKings.
What would your excuse be at that point?
Overweight. This is who he is. He's just a cocky bitch.
He's just a cocky, smug
cocky,
motherfucker.
conceited, smug motherfucker.
Suck it, guys. Suck it.
Yeah, Baker's like trying harder to be a villain, and I think it came naturally for Johnny Football.
Yeah.
How you lose 40 pounds? You're on a strict diet of blow.
And who are
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
I like the NBA and I like being insider. Therefore, I am an NBA insider. Thank you.
Yeah, don't do that toast anymore. That's out. That's played out.
Here's the love. Here's the
Yeah.
honor.
You
Look
gotta
that
come
one
up
up.
with a new one.
I did have that one. It was like some ships are wood, some ships are metal, but best ships are friendships, and maybe they never die or something. I don't know. It was something like that.
Oh, yeah, that rhymes.
Some friends are metal, some ships are friends, and some pieces of shits are friends and metals. Here's to the boats.
Drink up. Here's a Bodie McBoatface.
Some friends are metal.
Yeah.
Some friends are metal. It's fun.
We're going to have to play some vitamin C. Like, as we go on, we remember.
Why?
I mean, we were going to have a relatively big announcement coming up here, but we can't talk about it just yet.
Because you don't want to jinx it?
Yeah, we gotta cross some T's and dot some I's. And
Oh, the fact that you sold and bought a house?
I mean,
God.
we have to.
You can
You
bleep
don't have
it.
to go into detail about
You can bleep
selling
it.
your house, but
Bleep
it is kind of a big deal that the house that the podcast started is now going to be gone.
The house that built IJMS.
IJMS, yeah.
Where it was born.
Just bleep this whole thing. It'd be funny.
For a whole minute.
Welcome to IJMS. Yeah, it's we're
Just
gonna,
every time we say the
And
word
I can't keep
house.
a secret. Yeah.
4 years.
Buzzword.
4 years strong where it was born is gonna be gone.
Moving on up. Moving on up. We will potentially, by the end of the season, have yet another new studio.
Oh, I thought this was the last episode forever.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Damn it. I was really hopeful for that. No.
we haven't taken a vacation and we don't even get PTO.
We're probably looking at just after March Madness, potentially. Right? Maybe first,
What we know for sure is the start of the new football season is going to be on a different studio.
New studio. Every
New
year,
house.
new studio, new look, new us. Maybe a bigger couch. Maybe some bigger and better lighting. Maybe a designated extra chair for a guest.
PTO,
Possibly.
paid holidays, maybe benefits.
Oh, so way to
at
ruin.
least dental.
You're supposed to allow the suspense of a big announcement.
That's
to
why
come
you
up.
can bleep it.
Maybe
not
a
gonna do that.
401k.
Just bleep the word.
House and studio.
Would you rather announce
We shall
this
see.
when he's not with us? I mean, it's probably better to announce it tonight. He's going to be gone.
That's true. That is true. But I think that we need to close on that house in
you
order
did.
to do that. Ruining it just like a woman. Losing an $800,000 disability coverage. There's this woman in
Gloss over a very sexist statement.
what?
ruining it just like a woman.
Just like I didn't stop at a woman. There was a woman in Ireland. She had been paid out $800,000 for disability coverage. She decided that she was going to enter a Christmas tree throwing competition and won. And then the insurance company found out that she won after paying out $800,000 to her.
So what? They took the money back?
They took the money back, yeah.
What'd she win from the competition?
Probably not $800,000.
A year's supply of Christmas trees?
Probably not $800,000.
That was. Never mind.
Yeah, you don't want to go that route. But yes, the podcast studio, just another thing. The podcast studio was very prominently featured in the...
Oh, now you want to talk about it?
In the listing. Well, you brought it up, so we can't
I didn't
not.
bring it up.
You did, okay, whatever. You're gaslighting me. Don't gaslight me. And there was a photo with the lovely memorabilia that we have. And someone wrote, like, the man cave, the podcast studio is worth the price of this house alone. So, yeah.
I saw that.
There's
So photos are included?
No.
Buy photos.
No, the photos of the listing, not these photos. We're keeping these.
I mean, they were impressed
If these aren't kept safe,
these.
Pete.
We'll keep them safe. They're gonna go in Miguel's garage. What could go
No.
wrong?
I
No, they
will,
won't.
no, I will take them back.
They will not. Let's see. Let me make sure we're not over-modulated here. Nope, we're good. We're good. Just my loud-ass voice. Welcome to Just Make Sense. Presented by us. Stoli, Boneyard, whomever.
Whoever the fuck wants
Whoever wants
to.
You want some of this? We're getting into a bigger
Fuck
podcast,
Jimmy's.
bigger
We're-
house.
Presented by Jimmy's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're
We're
IoTs.
sluts when it comes to endorsements.
We will spread open
It
for
doesn't take
anyone
much.
that wants to come in.
It really doesn't
We
take
are.
much.
I do have a question though. As I venture into this honeymoon,
Yes.
come Friday,
Your last episode before
Yes.
your 2-week
hiatus.
Yeah, your honeymoon. So if you miss that, yeah, Braxton is not dead. Just enjoying.
Yeah. Unlike last year,
Yeah,
still alive.
still alive.
I am very curious as to who will be filling the bun marks in this couch for me.
Zabun marks. I think that we're gonna go one. We're gonna do one guest, and then we're gonna go one solo. We'll go back to solo for 1
Okay.
week. So
Which guest? Who?
We don't know yet.
some sort of NBA, NCAA expert potentially. Yeah.
Lean more towards a basketball expert than a football expert.
Okay. Somebody new? Recurring?
The thing is, like, he's not going to be here, so he's not an inside. He can't be on the inside here.
Yeah.
You're going to be left out of the decisions.
Oh, I don't want to be like a part of the decision. I'm
No, but
just curious.
Contrary, like, it's going to be a surprise, and you
For
have,
me?
Well, for everyone, you have been known to spoil a secret or two in just this episode.
Oh,
so.
yeah, I have.
Secret
Yeah.
spoiler. Dude,
So.
you're an S squared, bro.
You're right.
Secret spoiler.
I'm going to go on a deep search on who that guest is going to be.
We actually have nothing confirmed at the moment, so we don't know. That's the answer. We've floated names.
We're considering
talking to
any
people.
NBA players who do a lot of load management.
I would say that too. If I
Joel
had Scott
Embiid.
Van Pelt.
Embiid takes a lot of time off. He's injured.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe Stephen A. Maybe we get Skip. I mean, how could you tell the difference if Skip and Peter in the same episode?
Well, yeah, that makes sense if Peter was gone.
Basically, anyone participating or not participating in the draft combine. We're
Max
going to talk about
Kellerman.
that here in a little bit. So,
Ooh, hot boxing talk.
hot box. So hot box.
Yeah, can you imagine if Stephen A was here? He'd be screaming fucking through this garage.
The Stephen A. Versus the Pelicans beef online has been pretty funny. If you haven't seen it, look it up. He was going after Zion Williamson, and then the Pelicans put out a highlight tape of Stephen A. trying to play basketball. Not very good.
Stephen A's not doing himself any favors. He has not looked good as a former athlete.
No,
He was shooting around.
He went to the freaking hospital before
He was shooting around. He was just walking
game.
to the corner 3 and slipped on his ass.
I mean, he shouldn't be doing any sort of activity in the, professional gear with dress shoes and such. And you're able to get away with wearing, athletic shoes nowadays with a suit.
For sure.
Anyways.
Maybe if you're a former player. Stephen A. No.
Well, we are toasting to some Granier tonight. I did stumble upon a graphic that was asking, what is the best place to drink a beer odds? And the top ones here, airport minus 150, golf course plus 200, happy hour plus 300, grilling plus 350, at the beach plus 425, stadium plus 550.
That low?
Shower plus 725. A very good play on that one. The garage, I would say garage at plus 800. I like those odds. Tailgate plus 975. Boat plus 1100.
I hate this.
This is terrible. I mean, I feel like
Beach should be minus money.
definitely
Yeah, beach number 1 for me, probably.
Where's the lake?
tailgate
on a
minus-
boat.
Yeah. The boat is there at plus 1100.
I think just like a body of water should be number 1.
Yeah.
Lake, river, boat, beach. That's number 1.
And if you're not drinking while listening to us, probably at work, then you should.
You should drink at work.
You should drink at work.
I get this sentiment
Condone.
of people excited to drink at the airport. That's never been excited. Like, that's not a thing for me.
It's negative because you're paying up the butt for that.
Maybe I have
a beer.
Maybe because I have anxiety with flying, but I just don't care about having a drink at the airport.
Yeah,
It's
me
not-
neither.
That's why
actually.
you have a drink at the airport.
It's to get a little.
No, it doesn't
loose.
help. I've tried drinking
Then you
before
have
and
4
during.
of them.
I have no issue
Doesn't
on an
makes it
airplane.
worse.
Yeah, I have no issue on an airplane in general. So for me, if I were to do the best value play, I would probably say tailgate and boat are probably way up there. So
This also
don't
plays
like
in,
your odds.
This also plays into the water, but hot tub.
It
Gets you an
Hot
extra
tub
beer.
/ pool beers.
Hot tub was at plus 1400 on here.
Oh
so
God, this
Who the
list
fuck came
is-
up with this
You know,
list?
that's the thing. I've been on the other side of this
Probably
too, where
some
I've
woman.
made very bad lists, and I don't like your list, good ma'am or good sir, good they. I don't like it. What I did like actually was this past weekend we came to the Home and Garden show to support
yeah.
you in the sport courts.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
I was sore after playing basketball. I was like, my freaking elbow is still sore from
as soon as
not
we
good.
got there, the first thing I thought of is the hypothetical of $50K for a free throw and
oh yeah,
top of the key and all that, and I immediately went to the wing in the corner to see if I could make it without any warm up.
Yeah.
And then I think you were rebounding towards the end, and I made a corner 3
did.
after trying.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta call it here. It's $1 million.
You're done.
I gotta end on a make.
Yeah.
Let it go.
The only miss-up, you guys did have nets, but they were a little too low, and we were not good shots, so we had to chase after the ball a little bit more than.
Yeah.
If only we were better. We
Yeah.
should just focus on
I
being
guess
better
we didn't
next time.
expect people to be as unathletic as they are.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
But you weren't the only one. There was a gentleman, because we realized as it got towards the end of the show, the vendors would come
yeah,
over
sure. Mhm.
and start playing, and they would stay for a long time.
Ooh.
And there was this family who were working a booth, on the other side of the building, who, the show ends at 7. It was 6 o'clock on Friday night, so it slowed down. There was almost nobody in there. And they were playing a pretty serious game of pickleball.
Oh, wow.
And
Net up and everything. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
and there was a ball that was hit pretty long, but still in. So the gentleman was trying to return the ball going out of bounds and missed the ball, didn't see the little net,
Oh gosh, he didn't see the net.
and he tripped face forward
Oh my
through
God.
the
Bitch
curtain.
ass.
Oh gosh, right onto concrete.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Got fucked up. Was he all right?
he seemed fine.
He deserved
Nimble
it.
enough?
This kind
Wasn't
of
our problem.
off topic, but not really. So I had a coworker that was starting a petition in his neighborhood in Lake Oswego, of all places.
Of all
Because they were
places.
building pickleball courts.
Right.
And he's like, I don't want to deal with the fucking noise of the clink back and forth and all this shit. And I'm like, you privileged motherfucker. Like, what? Pickleball would bother you that much? Like, let people have fun. And I saw this video today of this guy going to a gym. And I'm addressing this because Sport Court is big into installing pickleball courts. It's a big part of your business. There is a guy that showed up to the gym to get shots up, and he couldn't because they have set up nets and they're playing a full serious like pickleball game, 4 of them. There's 4 matches happening. I feel like if you're a basketball player and you're trying to get shots up, that would annoy the fuck out of me. If there's a surge in pickleball and it's taking over gyms where you play pickup hoops, that would fucking annoy me.
I agree. But I will say, there's no way that gym didn't post, like, hey, between 6 and 9 p.m., pickleball.
Probably. Do we like
Prime time to get shots up, by the way.
do we want to associate with pickleball people? Pickleball people seem like assholes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a pickleball person.
It
But I
seems
will
like
say-
it seems like a rich sport.
It does. It seems like a rich, entitled
But, like,
I
it's
don't
easy-
see that.
old
But it's
white
easier
person
to
sport,
take up
really.
than
I
like
don't
a
see that.
Yeah.
Because I remember my grandpa telling me, he's like, why are you taking tennis lessons? Tennis for rich people. This seems like the same tennis demographic, but it's
Yeah.
easier to take up. It's easier
Yeah.
to start pickleball than like tennis.
Yeah, there's pickleball courts everywhere. And sport court, sport game PB surface, 25% noise reduction comparatively to acrylic. So
Yeah.
if you're worried
Braxton
about
has
noise,
to love pickleball people because he
Well, the
sells
noise,
to pickleball
are you talking
people,
about the
so-
floor?
yes.
The noise comes from the paddle. That's the annoying part, not the ball
Well,
bouncing
the
on the
reason
thing.
you didn't notice the noise from the floor is because you were on sport court, sport game PB surface.
No, all right.
25% noise reduction.
I'm just not sure.
But no, I don't
like a pickleball person.
I don't think that pickleball is a rich person sport. I think it's viewed that way because it's been embraced more so by older people.
Like people who play golf and people who play tennis are the ones I see playing pickleball.
But again, I think you would associate those two sports a lot with an older generation of people.
You know who played pickleball was Matthew Perry, and now he's very dead. So
Jesus Christ, man.
Okay.
so don't play pickleball. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, I think that's it for tonight.
Clear eyes.
Okay.
I'll bring a morbid fucking
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. So here's a would you rather? Would you rather
Be dead like Michael.
be
Matthew
dead like
Perry?
Matthew Perry, hit a hole in one, or cash a $5,000 parlay? Would you rather hit a hole in one or cash a $5,000 parlay?
How much did you put? What did you risk to get the $5,000 parlay?
I don't know.
$5.
$5. Yeah.
I'd hit the parlay.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit
duh.
about a hole in one.
I feel like
It's
you could.
more likely to hit a hole in one than it is to hit a $5,000 parlay.
For us, that's true. For us, it might be true. I
It's
feel
odds in general.
I feel like you could just say that you hit a hole in one, unless like I would like to be able to have it filmed if I had it, because I would just be relentless in showing people.
There's one that said you are given 24 hours to hit a hole in one. You pick a hole. It could be a golf course you're super familiar with. You pick one hole. You have 24 hours to hit a hole in one. If you do it within 24 hours, you get $1 million. If you don't, you go to prison for 6 months. Would you do it? Would you
No.
try?
No.
I wouldn't. No,
No.
my stamina would go very quickly, and then quickly with my mental fortitudes, there would be like a good 12-hour period where I would be nowhere close.
Also, this would have to be like on a simulator.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be out of the course. That's the question. Are you deterred by, like you said, your stamina not being able to keep up, or the fact that it's prison, like the other side is prison for 6 months?
Yeah, that sucks.
I'm less worried about the prison.
Clearly.
You just would not be able to do it.
Even on an 83-yard par 3.
That might be harder.
To dial that in. It would have your luck on a simulator would probably be better. One, because
even that.
Yeah.
The only reason I mention a simulator is because of the quickness of repetition.
Yeah.
Like you would be able to, quickly get the ball set up and go.
And you could play in the same conditions for 24
Exactly. You're
straight
not
hours.
dealing with wind.
Well, daylight, nighttime.
Yep.
Any of that.
It's too much of a evening thing to do it in the simulator. That's what makes it hard. Is you gotta be out there.
I promise you, it would be just as hard
in
a simulator.
So neither of you would do
The
it.
guy at Barstool did that whole thing. It took him how many shots?
Thousands.
He was there over a day.
5,000 shots.
He was there
he
like-
slept there.
Yeah.
So, but he was absolutely.
But he got it.
He was a hero for it. He was an absolute.
Wasn't that
hero
guy
for
like
it.
fat? That guy wasn't even in shape.
I wouldn't say.
I mean, he wasn't in shape. That's for sure.
He was definitely big man certified. That's for sure.
He was little guy, big man certified.
Is that a dig at me?
I would definitely bet on your guys' demise. That is for sure.
I've thought about starting a GoFundMe just for DraftKings.
Yeah. What would your excuse be at that point?
Overweight.
That's the description.
Overweight. Yeah.
Period.
Overweight.
Obese.
Obese. That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
Instead of, how in GoFundMe it says goal 5,000. Goal, it just says just to double up on a plus 1,200 parlay.
Just one bet.
If you give me $100, you too can pick one leg of this 25-leg parlay.
In the description of GoFundMe says, if you donate, I will spread some of the winnings to the top 4 highest donations.
Oh, either spread it like ashes. Either way. Spread it.
At least $5 to each of the top 4.
But only if I win. Only if I win. And that's how we do it. That's how we do it.
Rock bottom kings.
A little bit of sports time, boys. Sports ball.
Sports ball.
I wanted to talk first, the topic of the week, it seems like. We will talk here momentarily about the NFL Combine. We have some hot Eric Bienemy talk, taking the job there at UCLA. Hold your thoughts, boys. But first, I wanted to talk about the court storming, which has rocked the sports landscape. Our dear Filipowski. What's his first name? Jake? Kyle. It would be Kyle.
Could be Jake, too. He looks like a Jake.
He looks like it'd be a Jake. Kyle Filipowski, injured. Devastatingly. Actually, he's fine. They thought it was an ankle. Might have been a knee. He's going to be fine. It was injured during a court storming experience there at Wake Forest this past weekend. Some people thought in super slow-mo did he cause this himself by pushing this fan away. We're looking at just a very slow-mo type of thing. I have no issue with how he reacted in that moment. But it brings up a larger issue about whether or not court storming should be allowed. Some people have been talking about the things that could be done to court storming. The biggest one that got a lot of attention here was actually Jay Billis, a Dookie himself, took a very hardline stance. We'll listen to this, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts, not only on court storming in college, but what should be done about it. Here's Jay Billis.
But the truth is, nothing's going to change now. We're going to talk about it, and it's going to go away, and nothing's going to change. And if they wanted to stop it, they could stop it tomorrow. The administrators will tell you that security experts tell them that it's not a good idea to try to stop the court storming, that could cause more problems than it would solve. But you don't have to stop the court storming. One time, all you have to do is once they're on the court, don't let them off. Just say you're all detained and give them all citations or arrest them if you want to. And then court stormings will stop the next day. There's no accountability for this. The fans feel like it's an entitlement, and the universities like it, and the truth is we like it.
Yeah, and the last thing is we like it. And I think he's right. I think that's what makes college very unique, is the ability to have that moment of the court storm, the field rushing, all of that. What are you guys' thoughts on court storming, rushing the field in general in college? Should it be done away with? And then what can be done about it?
Well, I think, was it Creighton recently or somewhere?
Creighton beat UConn.
They had like a squad of people in front of the student section who was like, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Okay, now.
Go, yeah.
Like, if you can say, hey, if you cross this threshold, you are going to be detained or cited or whatever. But we have our court storming line. As long as you respect them and wait until they give you the okay go, I think that solves a lot of issues. Obviously, we're working with children here, teenagers, young adults, if you want to give them that. And so, yeah, you're going to have these people that act out of line. But once you see, like he said, a few people get arrested, a few people get citations, whatever, I think they're going to respect that line.
Yeah.
I think there's a happy medium, is my point.
I think we all like it. He's not wrong. Jay Billis isn't wrong. We all like it.
You love it.
Yeah.
In this particular example with Wake Forest and Duke, Creighton and UConn was a great example. UConn was the number 1 team in the nation. Creighton beat them by 30. So the game was decided 10 minutes with 10 minutes left. So they were able to prep and do all that. That's the one thing that Wake Forest, I don't want to give them any credit, but they either didn't have time to do that because it was a close game, but Creighton were able to prepare for it and like let the players go and then rush the court, whatever, storm the court. But Wake Forest won by 4, and I don't think they were anticipating a rush, because here's a silly part. Yes, Duke was ranked, but Wake Forest was favored in that game.
Yeah.
And Wake Forest is their record is 19-8. They gave a Duke a run for it in the previous game.
And I'm pretty sure they beat them, was it last year at home too, and they didn't rush?
Yeah.
Is that right? I feel like that there was a time recently where they also beat them at home.
So I don't know if the security people weren't prepared for it, but they rushed. And the thing is, you don't see a single Wake Forest fan complaining about this.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not affected by it, you don't give a shit. You're either indifferent or you like it. But it so happens that a player got fucking injured. Not just any player, but a key contributor to that team leading into March Madness. So, of course, it was a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier this year there was a lot of scrutiny, not just on the moment, but on the reaction. Caitlin Clark, obviously from Iowa, had gotten injured. Some people had suggested that she flopped a little bit, nor here nor there. The same situation, like she was in the same situation. I thought that like if we're looking at just the Wake Forest Duke moment, I thought that the security was ill prepared. But I thought that John Shire and Duke was very unprepared for that moment, too. There was no urgency for them to get off the court. You'll see that when Filipowski gets hurt, Shire almost like reacts as if like he should be gone too.
No one
was
was anticipating a storm the court because Wake Forest was favored by 2.5.
But when you're Duke, shouldn't you always think that people are ready to dunk on you and storm the court? Isn't that a big moment for
every
any school?
time somebody plays Duke? Yeah, you get their best. That is the case for every fucking good team. But Duke just played a game last week where the other team was favored. Nothing happened there.
Yeah. No
one was anticipating a court storm at Wake Forest when they were winning for the most part. They were winning they were dominating the game even though they won by 4. I don't think I can fault the Duke coaching staff for not anticipating that, not getting off fast. Also, blaming the players, like how they react, like Filipowski or Caitlin Clark, I think is complete bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
It's complete bullshit. If you have a group of people rushing you, I would do worse things than what they've done.
Yeah, and
I would stick my fucking elbow out. I would stiff arm people. They like Filipowski just kind of like bent over.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
A court storm in college is terrifying because they can get from their seat to the center of the court in 3 seconds.
I think it's more dangerous than rushing the field in football. It's just there's small
because they're
smaller
up. Yeah,
space.
they're up 10 feet. They either have to like put their life in their own hands and jump from that 10 feet, or go down the steps and then run to the center of the field, which is at least 50 yards. Right?
Well, also,
There's at least that time.
we're dealing with a very different stature of person on the football field.
Yeah,
who's
they
wearing
have
pads,
and helmets, and
Yeah.
The style of person is 300 pounds.
Also,
typically.
they're literally getting tackled all day.
Yeah.
I think you can kind of nitpick everything that happened there. The shit that's most annoying to me is the people that were really close to Filipowski that was just like taking a cheap shot or like a quick shove or like a hit.
Yeah.
Man, if you're a Duke student, it's your time to shine.
Yeah.
I find them folks.
I kind of get where Jay Billis is coming from in a way, where it kind of comes like, hey, if you're going to storm the court, like, cite him in a restaurant. Well, you're not going to do that at the Final Four. You're not going to do that in the national championship. So why are you going to do that here? And I understand that's what makes college great. I'm not trying to be this like grumpy, get off my lawn thing, because Jay Billis was very much criticized for this take. But it is, enabled by the universities. You even had like the Tennessee, I think it was Tennessee, the athletic director who was making light of it when they beat Alabama at home. I think it was last year. And he was just like, this $250,000 is going to be so worth it. Right? Like there's video of him just like relishing in the moment that they beat him. They tore down the goalpost. They threw it in the lake or the river or whatnot. Like they love it. So like finding these guys is just like a drop in the bucket.
No one's going to have a serious enough take on it or a solution or anything until it happens to them.
Yeah.
Like imagine leading up to the college football playoff, people rush the field because somebody beat Oregon and Bo Nix gets hurt. How fucking furious would you be as a fan of that team?
Sure.
Your star player gets hurt because of this. That's the only time that you would really look at it and focus on it and be like, this is bullshit because this happened to me. It's selfish, but you're not going to give a shit until it happens to you.
Right. I mean, like we've seen this. I think it was that same game, an Alabama player gets confronted, and this happens all the time where a player will confront a player or whatnot on the field or the court and try and rile them up. Then all of a sudden, in a moment where these guys, in the heat of the moment, are expected to not react, right? And then all of a sudden, they're the ones who get in trouble when they wouldn't have been put in this situation had it not been enabled by. But I mean, again, it's like we love it. We live for that. That you see that in all the promotional marketing materials, right? You take that away, and what are you? But these players, now that they are paid in college, they're looked at more as kind of professional athletes in a way. But
yeah. I mean, it just happened tonight, not with court storming, but while I was taking a shit, I was seeing the video of the Texas A&M basketball game. They were both going for the loose ball on the way out of bounds, and this Texas dude didn't go for the ball, and he just charges towards the guy. Lowered his shoulder. It was like a sideline tackle in the NFL. He fucking takes him out, and then he looks straight to the ref, shocked. He's like,
yeah.
But it's always the second guy who gets caught, because if that guy swung at him, I would have totally understood why he did it. But he would be in so much fucking trouble if he did. I was like, that guy just tried to kill me. But I'm the one getting in trouble.
There's some like really serious things that could happen too. I mean, like we're going to talk about the Cam Newton situation here, where he was. There's conflicting things about how it led to the fight itself, where Cam Newton manhandles 7 guys or 6 guys or whatever. But like if a person has very ill intentions, they could rush a field or rush a court, and they could cause some very quick mayhem. to a person that they don't like. And they could potentially conceal their identity very easily, whether it is in the form of, intentionally causing harm to this person. And
yeah, you would like to think it would never happen, but it only took one Wake Forest fan to go up to Filipowski and charge after his knee or fucking stab him or something.
Yeah.
And then it becomes
honestly,
really serious.
I was kind of alluding to a guy getting shivved on the court, but I'm kind of serious at that point.
In high school, we had a situation with storming the field where somebody had put they had a glove on and they put thumbtacks in their glove.
Oh no
and
way.
They just started running over to other players on the other team and started slapping their legs and stuff. And obviously thumbtacks, that's minimal, but still the intent is pretty extreme.
Yeah, very malicious intent. And that's the thing, I thought it was interesting. I was listening to Dan Patrick earlier today, and he was basically saying, if this incident, this Filipowski incident happened when anything else would happen, the NFL season's going, college football, whatever, no one's going to spend a lot of time on this. But I do think that the conversation should be had. No one's got a very good solution. It's not as if you can say, okay, we're going to wait, we're going to give a 10-second buzzer here, and then we're going to let Duke players get off, and then you can rush the court. That's not the point.
No one's going to put the time in to come up with a solution until something serious happens.
Yeah.
And nothing serious. He was sore, but he's not going to miss any games.
Yeah, which is great.
But if something serious happened, then they would be forced as a committee to figure something out.
Sure.
Also, in the grand scheme of things, college kids have been rushing the court for decades.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And we've just had two experiences pretty close together in 1 year that's drawing a lot of focus to it. I mean, so we can say, we're 1,002 as far as win-loss record on the safety and enjoyment of rushing the court. So if you look at it from that sense, it's no biggie.
Right. And usually these are done by students. I don't know if there's something where, in some kind of way, I don't know how you would regulate it or whatever. If one person does it, does everyone get in trouble that, hey, I know, because all of this is digital now, hey, I know that you went into this game, everyone rushed the court, therefore everyone is penalized with not being able to go to a game, these students, for X amount of games.
That's what's shitty, though, is because you have history to back you. That's why nothing will happen, is because this has been happening for decades, and and it's not really that big of a deal.
And we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and we love it, but you could also look at the other side. Well, recently it's been a pattern. And this is why it could be dangerous in any sport. Is now it hasn't happened for the last 1,000 court storms, but it's happened twice in the same season. But we can't do anything because it's never happened this often before.
Yeah.
So we just have to wait for something really serious to happen to address it.
You put a ripcord on every one of these guys, they yank it, and then they become like a bubble boy, so that they can't get. That's how you do it. Ultimately, technology needs to evolve. Ripcord it launches you straight up into the rafters.
The immature part of me is never about coming up with a solution, but just revenge. Do it back to them.
Yeah.
Rush the court during the ACC tournament, storm it when you beat Wake Forest loses
by 40,
and then you fucking stab one of their players. That's what you do.
Yeah, just shiv them right there. That's ultimately the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but this is another thing that I wanted to bring up. The NFL Combine is this week. We love it, but is it really worth it? Same kind of theme, right, from the court storming. Is there anything worth doing at the Combine? You have guys like Marvin Harrison Jr., who is just like, I'm not going to weigh in. I'm not going to do drills. I'm not going to test. I'm literally going to do nothing, and you are going to draft me number 3 overall, and that's it. I'm not going to give you any leverage. There's not many guys who are participating. You have coaches in Matt LaFleur, and you've heard other guys who are just deciding not to go. And I'm curious, what we need to do with the combine to make it less gimmicky, to make it like where, it is, you can take things seriously there, because anything that comes out of the combine, it's either you're the fastest guy and it means nothing, or you scored terribly on a Wonderlic, or someone asked you something crazy in an interview and goes, hey, what's the craziest thing that someone asked you in an interview? And then that's the thing that becomes.
I don't think players are refusing to participate because it's gimmicky. It's not like an all-star weekend. I think I think the combine would serves more value to players that are not highly touted. If you're projected to be in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, then do the combine. But Marvin Harrison,
those guys aren't being invited.
That's what I mean. That's the double-edged sword, because somebody like Marvin Harrison, he has more to lose by participating in the combine than not. Why fuck with your draft stock for shit that? I mean, I get it for some skill players to show your 40 yards, but there was an example of an offensive lineman who ran like a 6-second 40, failed every fucking drill. The guy just won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And he was one of the best O-linemen for the Ravens the year before. It really means, especially speed shit for O-line, it means nothing.
I agree with Miguel. I kind of feel like the combine should become something where it's the guys who are...
For day 3 guys?
Projected to go round 2 through whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that go to the combine who have something to prove, where it can benefit them. It can give, these coaches an opportunity to see them in a different light. If you're a round 1 guy, what's the point?
If you're a round 1 guy, you're probably doing private workouts. That's enough.
Post it on Instagram.
And the scouts are looking at you in the private workouts. There's no reason for you to go to the combine. That should be reserved for the bottom half guys. Marvin Harrison, Penix, Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, none of those guys should be doing the combine.
Right.
They've been seen already. So there's no reason. There's no value. Brings nothing to the table for them.
Yeah. And I do, I don't blame coaches like Matt LaFleur to decide, like, I'm going to sit this one out. Regardless, I mean, I don't blame them, but it is your job responsibility. You should be there.
I'm sure he has people to do it for him.
He probably has. But I mean, it's again the ability to keep up appearances and at least to, I don't know. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth at this point.
No, it's
what else is new?
It's a Peter take because it's an optics thing for you.
Yeah.
It's not anything else. It's optics.
Yeah, I think that guys should at least do interviews. I think that they should talk. I think that they should do those things. I think that there are things that you can glean from being around people and just kind of playing the game a little bit.
Then do that. Say, hey, come do the media part of it. Do the interviews. Take the questions. If you don't want to do the physical stuff, that's one thing. But do the media part.
Yeah, show up and do that side of things. I don't think that...
Because that is probably something that a lot of college guys don't have as much experience with comparatively to the NFL. You're going to be under a spotlight, especially if you're our first-round draft pick. We know you're an athlete. We know you can catch the ball. We know you're physical and can lift, 225 however many times. We don't need to see that.
Right.
We need to see how you are mentally, under pressure, with the lights, the camera, the action in front of you.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
And if you're using Marvin Harrison Jr. as an example, you would think he has the best person to coach him as being a pro with his dad.
Sure.
So I would probably trust whatever steps he takes because that comes from his dad. His dad's probably saying there's no reason for you to do this. And he can teach him how to be a pro and do the things that he didn't get enough experience doing in college.
So I will still watch the combine, but I am increasingly what in the world is any of this for? I think that probably some of the best stuff that comes out of it are what you are hearing from coaches and executives, because they have designated media things as well. You have Ryan Poles, the GM of the Bears, who spoke with the media, and he was talking about Justin Fields. Obviously, the Bears have the first pick in the NFL draft. Possibility of Caleb Williams being their guy, and but having Justin Fields under contract, and what in fact they will do with that pick. We will react after we hear Mr. Poles.
Again, it just depends on what opportunities pop up. I will say this. I think you guys know me well enough now. If we go down that road, I want to do right by Justin as well. No one wants to live in gray. I know that's uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. So we'll gather the information. We'll move as quickly as possible. We're not going to be in a rush and see what presents itself and what's best for the organization.
So I think, he's talking about doing right by Justin, wanting to do this. If they do, in fact, make the trade, do it before free agency. I think I am still in, they were in a very similar position last year, whether or not they were going to trade a pick or actually make it. They ended up dealing it. I am still under the belief, whether or not they choose to do it, that they should keep Justin Fields for 1 year, trade that pick, and then have your slew of people, your young talent, your tons of draft picks, and then you bring in a veteran quarterback next year. What do you guys think about not only Ryan Poles and him trying to almost project that it seems that they may end up taking Caleb Williams, but what they should ultimately do?
I mean, I'm going to stick with what I've said this whole time. Give Justin Fields no excuses. Give him Marvin Harrison. Get a lineman. Get the pieces around him to where you set him up so well to where if he fails, it's on him. There's no more ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then you can go, okay, 3/4 through the season, halfway through the season, you can go to a veteran guy to help finish out the season. And you have that veteran guy to help, kind of train and handhold your rookie that you're going to take in the next year. Because when you trade away that pick, you're going to get a first-round pick in the next year. I think that's such a smarter decision for the Bears in the long run.
I agree. I don't think they've given Justin Fields a solid chance.
Yeah.
With nobody around him. So I would lean towards that. Give him another shot.
Should things not work out for Justin Fields, we're looking at the 2025 quarterback free agent class. Not the greatest if you look at it. Tua, I think that they'll end up locking Tua up long term. Same with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott will be an unrestricted free agent. It looks like that the Prescott camp will probably leverage a deal to stay with the Cowboys somewhere. I was seeing reports somewhere in the $55 to $60 million a year for Dak. I don't necessarily know if that's for this conversation for now and whether or not that is a good deal. But Dak Prescott will be an unrestricted free agent next year. Same with Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Tua, Taylor Heineke, Jarrett Stidham. And that's kind of, those are like your biggest names there. Tommy DeVito will be an unrestricted free agent next year. Danny DeVito? Tommy DeVito. Whatever.
Danny.
Yeah.
It's a callback.
Callback to where you accidentally called him Danny.
Yeah.
So I mean, that whole you would ultimately have to trade for a guy is what I'm getting at, and you'd have to maybe get rid of some of those draft picks that you covet so much.
I think the answer is if you're playing the quarterback position, switch. If you have a chance to play in the league, this quarterback, it's the most rewarded position if you're winning, but you get fucked more than any other position going to the NFL. You just don't have a lot going for you. Landing in a bad situation and a bad team, landing with the Jets or the Bears or the Panthers, you could be out. You could be a Heisman Trophy winner and be out of the league in 2 years.
That's true, but then you could also resurrect yourself the way that Baker has. He signs like a $3 million deal with Tampa this past year, and now he can get himself 35.
That's relying on things to go right.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a like drop in the bucket.
It's a long shot.
Absolute long shot. If I have a son who plays football, play tight end.
Is there? Yeah, I agree with that. Is there?
Go to Iowa.
Yeah, either of you guys want to take the Justin Fields will be the quarterback next year versus Caleb Williams bet? or any of you wanting to go out.
No,
on a
because I'm
limb
not
there.
gambling when it has something to do with the Bears. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
I have no faith in that team. I don't know what they're gonna do.
As,
They could make a last minute decision on draft day.
as much as I for whatever reason, I feel confident enough in Ryan Poles to make the right choice.
What is the right choice?
Yeah, what's the right
You're
choice for
saying
you?
that, but what is the right
I
choice?
think the right choice is to keep Justin Fields for one more year and trade the pick.
The thing is, though, because it's the Bears, as soon as they do it, you're like, was that the right choice?
Williams gonna be so good. But,
And for some reason in the universe, it's going to make Caleb Williams win a Super Bowl as rookie. year.
yeah, it sure will.
Here's
Yeah,
what's
it
tough
might be
when you're
true.
listening to like draft stocks and strengths and weaknesses from the combine or the private workout. There's absolutely nothing to go off of. You
Nothing.
don't. These so-called experts. Remember what they said about Patrick Mahomes? Like, how could you trust any of these experts to know what the fuck they're talking about?
In fact, I'm pretty sure I sent you guys a video. I don't know if it was IJMS or Boner Dogs, but it was this guy, a Chiefs fan in, 2017?
I was disappointed when they drafted him.
And he was doing a live cast of him watching the draft. And he was like, oh, I can't believe they did this. You had Blake Bortles, who was coming out, who had so much potential, and Deshaun Watson, like, he's just such a solid guy, great character, does everything right. How could you make this
Does
decision?
it all the right way.
Who the fuck is Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah. I love when people recall right around this time of the year about what people said about Patrick Mahomes. Coming out of the combine.
I know I brought this up, and if you guys haven't watched it, I highly suggest you watch the interview with Shannon Sharpe and Johnny Football. That was one of the greatest sit-down interviews. The more I never really disliked Johnny Football, even back in the day. He was a cocky party animal, whatever. But the more you watch him today, the more I fucking love the guy. It's just like you have someone who's lost everything. He's lost everything from his own decisions, own bad decisions. And he has been, like, when he tells these stories, first of all, it's incredible to hear about them, like all the inside info that you would have never known about. But he seems so genuine, and he just, like, gives you the good shit. And he addressed that, I think Shannon Sharpe asked, who was the best football player to come out of Texas? And he was getting some shit because he was like, Patrick Mahomes just won the Super Bowl. And he's like, well, it's not Patrick Mahomes. Which is true. He wasn't like a highly recruited kid out of high school. He's like, it's Kyler. Like, Kyler was one of the best high school players to come out of Texas. And then they got into the Heisman, and Shannon Sharpe had asked them, where do you think your Heisman Trophy year ranks with all the other quarterbacks? Cam Newton, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow. And he's like, I'm
looking at guys that have won the Heisman.
Before you pay it off, let's listen to the clip.
Won the Heisman from the SEC. You look at Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. You were the first freshman to ever win it, and you accumulated an SEC record then, 4,600 yards of total offense. Where would you put yourself if we're having a college? And I'm not going to the NFL because obviously the guys with the prototypical size. But where would you think Johnny Manziel Heisman Trophy season would rank among those guys?
Behind Burrows.
Behind Burrow, but in front of Cam?
No.
What about?
I would say, for me, in my opinion, Joe Burrows is probably the best Heisman season to ever happen. And that's just like, look at the numbers. Like, it's not even a comparison.
For me, it's him or Barry.
And the swagger and what he did it with. And I think it's a no-brainer. I think, agree. Him and Barry somewhere up there at the top, stand alone type of thing. Cam, for me, is of cultural importance. And, coming in from Blinn Junior College and going to Auburn. I remember that. And then they played the team, Oregon, that I was committed to at the time.
Right.
So it leaves an impact and a memory on me. And I love Cam Newton.
Right.
To the max. Love what he stands for. Love what he's about. Love him to death. And always have. He knows that. And so I think you go Joe Burrow. I think you go Cam. And then I'm right below that. And I respect Bakers and Kylers, and you can nitpick all this all you want, because at the end of the day, it's all about getting to that stage in New York and getting that trophy.
Right.
Now you're splitting hairs on who's greater than who, and all collectively as a whole, we're fucking badass.
Right.
I think that's a very humble answer.
Sure.
And I agree.
I absolutely agree. I just think it's a very humble answer. I completely agree with him. But this guy is one of the most electrifying outside of Reggie Bush. Like, outside of watching Reggie Bush in 05, this kid was so fucking incredible in college. No fear.
Yeah, absolutely no fear.
Electric.
Undersized quarterback going to A&M with that alumni, with that booster, with that type of expectation.
And the competition.
And the competition that he had. Like, you forget who he had to play against.
Yeah,
all of those guys are in the NFL now.
Yeah, I mean, like, really was put on the map in that Alabama win, for sure.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, thinking about Joe Burrow and that team, I mean, we think about that LSU team was one of the most talented stacked teams up and down that you see. When I think about, I mean, obviously the Johnny Manziel was electric. I think that Cam Newton, for me, and maybe it was just because of how much attention that was on him because of the Oregon championship and everything like that. But, I mean, it seemed like Cam Newton all year was willing his team to win. That comeback against Alabama, the comeback against LSU, that type of thing. For me, I think that, like, if I were to go up and down, Cam Newton, of those ones that we're talking about, was probably the most impressive one of those Heismans. You know, like the Tim Tebow one, as electric as he was, like, it was shoved down our throat and I didn't like it. The Joe Burrow, again, so impressive, but look at everyone around him. But so for me, as much as I dislike both of them, with every fiber of my being, Johnny Manziel and Cam Newton were just both so good. I didn't think that Johnny Football, from like the way that the Heisman claims to be this moral award as well, was not necessarily, you know, both him and Cam, you know, had checkered past before.
I would probably
winners.
agree. I would just flip flop those two. I think for me, Cam's number one.
Cam is number one for me.
Cam's number one, not because it shows that Joe Burrow played with Edwards-Helaire, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I mean, he had, and yes, it's not it is an individual award, but you rely on your team. I think he had a better team than Cam, but I was more impressed with Cam Newton because of what he was able to do as a player. He was massive, but he was fast, and he was unstoppable. You talk about how, like, Lamar Jackson was unstoppable when he decided to run the ball. Imagine having to watch Cam in the pocket and then just take off. I mean, there's nothing you could do.
And I think, too, that, like, when I think about Johnny Manziel and Cam Newton, like, I don't know how many people disliked a Joe Burrow. Maybe, like, people regionally. But, like, the Manziels and the Cam Newtons were both, like, frustratingly good because you just hated them and you wanted them to fail so badly and they didn't, and then you just saw, you know, you were just like, God damn, that was impressive. And I think that's ultimately where you know, my feelings came with it. You know, Kyler, whatever, and then again my Tim Tebow thing. I never thought that anything that he did was overly electric, but you know, maybe that's a discredit to him. I think
I think your feeling towards players like them is probably in the majority of how you feel towards them. I love outspoken players. I fucking love players that are hated. It makes me love them more.
Agreed.
The more people hated Johnny Football, the more I fucking cheered for him. The more people hated Cam, the more I cheer for him. You could even take a player that I'm either indifferent or I hate, but once everyone hates him, I'm like, I fucking love him.
Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah.
Seeing Johnny Football in Johnny Manziel, I'll give him this, in this interview made me happy that he has found some therapy. It seems that he has had a lot of self-discovery, that he is okay to admit his mistakes. You know, that line here where he kind of talks about, it's a very quick clip. I had it up, you know, in just talking about how he was able to, like, why he lost so much weight his rookie season.
I was 210 pounds when I left Cleveland. I was 170 pounds sitting in Vegas that August, that September, October, whatever it was later in that year. How you lose 40 pounds? You're on a strict diet of blow.
That'll happen.
That'll happen.
Like,
that'll happen.
Obviously, you're not going to play the whole clip. Just watch this when you get a chance. Watch the whole thing. One of my favorite things with people that have gone that hard in the past, usually when they have the come to Jesus moment, they're completely different people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody who did what he did, he partied, he did drugs, he drank and all this shit. Usually you take somebody like that did all that in the limelight, you see them now and they're like, you know, talking to you about Jehovah's Witness or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's a completely different person. He's still the same guy.
You mean Shia LaBeouf, who has decided to be like a monk or something like that?
Yeah, it's something extreme.
Yeah.
But he's still the same guy. He's just admitted his faults. He knows what he did. He takes responsibility for it, and he can talk about it now. But he hasn't. You don't see him as he hasn't changed to the extreme. He's still the same fucking guy. And I think that's what I appreciate. That's why I love this whole fucking thing. This whole interview was great.
What was your power ranking, though, for the Heisman, Braxton?
No, I would probably put it the same. I think Cam Newton is number one. I think it's hard to deny somebody with his speed, his stature. And then I've always had a ton of respect for Johnny Manziel. I'd put him as a close second.
God, what would have happened if he played at Oregon?
Yeah.
But do you think he would have had the same effect playing for? He committed to Oregon in 2010. You think he would have had the same effect that he did at A&M?
At Oregon,
yeah,
as an A&M,
would have been the same player, same electrifying quarterback.
I don't think so.
There was a different type of pressure at A&M that he rose above,
and he would have been going there right at the same time as Marcus. So there would have been quarterback controversy because Marcus, his freshman year was 11, 12.
His
11. He graduated in
2011.
15.
So Darren Thomas was 2011.
Yes.
I think so. Is that right? And then Marcus came onto the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Darren Thomas was the quarterback of that championship team versus Cam Newton. That was 2011. Yeah. But yeah, I think that, you know, just being in, you know, against the Alabamas and LSUs and everything like that, I think made Johnny Manziel similar to how Baker was, you know, when he was at Oklahoma and such too, that he relished in kind of this under
the difference
sometimes in under. I know that Oklahoma at a certain point was.
I think that the difference though when it comes to the hate that they attracted to themselves, Baker was like trying hard to be the unlikable guy. He was doing things. He had antics to be like, hate me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stab the flag onto your fucking turf and all this shit. Johnny Manziel wasn't trying to be hated. He was just a
cocky motherfucker.
He was just a cocky motherfucker. He didn't give a shit. He wasn't.
I mean, he did similar stuff though. He had the whole money thing.
Yeah.
He was absolutely doing a lot of the same stuff.
But I'm saying
probably more in a public eye.
I'm saying like personality wise, if you see what Johnny Football was back in college and then even like before this whole change, and then you watch Baker back then, it's like, this is who he is. He's just a cocky bitch.
He's just a cocky, smug motherfucker.
Conceited, smug motherfucker.
Yeah.
Baker's like a likable guy now that you see him in Tampa and shit. He's outgoing.
Just like, suck it, guys. Suck it.
Yeah, he's like the nerdy.
I'm
hate
a
me.
villain.
I'm gonna do shit. I want to be a villain. Like, I saw him trying harder to be a villain, and I think it came naturally for Johnny Football.
Yeah, like Baker Mayfield was cosplaying a villain.
It's like Johnny Manziel didn't have any control over his actions. He was surrounded by celebrities, by A-list fucking top athletes, and he was telling a story about how the Cowboys were looking at him, and he told Shannon Sharpe, he goes, I wouldn't be here right now if I was drafted by Dallas. I'd be dead. He's like, you realize I would have been surrounded by what I'm familiar with. And it would have been so easy for me to go to parties. It was harder for me. That's why I was depressed in Cleveland. Cleveland protected him in a way for not get in more trouble than he already did.
Yeah,
he's like, I'd straight up be dead if I was in Dallas.
A couple of news and notes in the NFL, which then also ties within the college ranks. Thought it was interesting. Russell Wilson, we all know, is expected to get cut. He was on the I Am Athlete podcast with Brandon Marshall talking about just kind of the goings-on about getting benched and how they wanted him to the Broncos wanted him to waive his injury exception and all these other things. And also I thought was interesting, as someone pointed out, which was it almost seemed like people are pointing out that Sean Payton was goading Russell Wilson to react when Sean Payton was dressing Russ down on the field. The timeline of this is very interesting because had Russ reacted and went back in on Sean Payton, what they could have gotten Russ for was a suspension internal that was conduct detrimental to the team that would have triggered things within his contract that they could have avoided certain aspects of it. So it was almost like they were trying everything that they could to motherfuck Russ in order to get what they wanted contractually. But Russ somehow overcame all of those things to the point where he's going to get paid by the Broncos. The Broncos, from a cap standpoint, are going to get screwed, and Russ is going to get double paid.
The more we find out about Sean Payton, the more I fucking hate him.
Yeah.
Just a piece of shit as a person.
How they just absolutely are trying to screw Russ over, and then right before the game be like, all right, so you're our guy, so let's just forget that all of this ever happened and just go out and compete for us. What?
It's fucked up.
How are you going to do that? And it's hard because you don't want to be like, Russ, all right, good job, Russ. Like, I mean, he's been kind of a tough guy to root for the past couple of years, but it's just kind of like, if we're looking at two of these guys, like, obviously, like, Sean Payton is just the asshole.
You almost feel guilty not cheering for him.
Right,
because
yeah.
He's not a bad guy. He's just a cringy dude. Like,
Well,
it's cringy, motherfucker.
It says a lot about Sean Payton. If you can make us like Russell Wilson, who has been universally clowned on for the last however many years, and Sean Payton being somebody who we've held up even through the gambling or betting stuff with his team, and people have still said, oh, he's great, he's great, he's great. And now all of a sudden the roles have reversed. It's like, damn,
that's impressive.
That's impressive.
That's pretty damn impressive. It was also impressive, and we've already talked about Cam Newton a little bit on this podcast, which was his 6-on-1 or whatever fight at a 7-on-7 kids football tournament. Again, I had said that there were some competing things about whether or not Cam was egging people on and basically like, hey, what did you not see before the cameras started, and whether or not Cam played an integral factor into that. But once the cameras were rolling, boy howdy, was he able to take on 6 people all by himself. It looked like Keanu Reeves just in what's the movie that I'm thinking of? John Wick, yeah.
He wasn't fighting though. He was just protecting himself.
Yeah.
I think this would have gone completely different if he made contact first or was actually fighting. I think it says a lot more about those 16, 17-year-olds. I mean, for you to take a swing at somebody, it's not about his fame or previous fame. It's just you're going to take a swing at somebody older than you.
Right.
I mean, the fuck kind of shit are we dealing with today?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a good look for anybody involved, honestly, but
And what makes you think you can beat the shit out of Cam Newton?
Yeah, I mean, we all know that this guy is 6'6", 250 pounds, and gigantic. just
Like if he wanted to pummel you, he'd
impressive.
probably fucking take all of you guys. But he was just extending and protecting himself. Like if he actually took a swing, he'd be knocked the fuck
He
out.
just dropped into a pass set.
I will be interested. And the thing is, Cam Newton, probably a lot of pent-up frustration. Needs to take it out on someone. This happens to be on a bunch of teenagers. So I am going to be curious to see. There's interviews already out by the parents or other people who were involved and saw what was going on. Again, basically saying you need full context, and Cam Newton was complicit in this whole thing. I will be interested if we do get to the bottom of this, really how you get to that point. But it nevertheless was still impressive.
Yeah, if you're the parent of a kid who took the swing, maybe we question you.
Yeah,
kind of shit are you teaching this dude?
And now here you are doing interviews about it. I was right before we get into some NBA to conclude, one final news to know, which has a little bit of crossover between the NFL and college. Former Washington Commanders and Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bienemy going from the NFL to the college ranks to be the offensive coordinator for Deshaun Foster at UCLA.
That's such a confusing move.
He, Bienemy said in an email that he was excited to go back to Southern California, where he went to high school, and he started his career there with the Chargers. He says, obviously, it's great to get back with the Bruins, where I was previously employed. He said that he had opportunities to remain in the NFL. He had interviewed for the Commanders' head coaching job, as we know, and 2 other offensive coordinator jobs, and he was offered by one NFL team an assistant head coach and running backs job, but ultimately he wanted to find his way back to college. And he said, my self-dignity, worth, integrity, personhood, manhood will never be questioned or compromised. It was never about money either. With everything in life, it is often all about timing. At this time in my life, the opportunity affords me the pleasure of continuing to be a maker and a leader of men, to do what I love, follow my passion and my dreams while not compromising who I am as a man. So, interestingly enough, that we just say, how come this guy's not a head coach in the NFL? And then he's just sliding back down to the offensive coordinator ranks of UCLA.
This has got to be... I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me is that he's just trying to fade into retirement.
Yeah, it's like, do you want this?
It's like he wants to do something where he's going to be respected and valued. It's quote unquote easy, not to say that being college coach is easy, but easier than being a offensive coordinator for an NFL team or an assistant head coach for an NFL team. Less pressure. He can be in a place that he's used to, close to family. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
And it's fine if you just kind of own it. We see Steve Spagnuolo, right? Steve Spagnuolo, you go, no one's really talking about him, despite every year with the Chiefs just putting up the best defense, and he's not there as a potential head coaching candidate.
Doing well.
Because he's doing well, and I think that it's just kind of he's found his lane and he's good there. But it's almost like everyone's been banging the drum for Eric Bienemy, and maybe he's like, please stop doing that. Just kind of let me do my thing. So we're putting undue pressure on him, and whether or not that's actually his career path. Because I would never hire him as a head coach at this point. The motives seem a little odd at this point.
The only thing I would go with is the pressure. Yeah, it doesn't. Because of this move, it doesn't seem like he wants the pressure of being involved in an NFL coaching staff, let alone a fucking head coach when he's had opportunities.
And maybe he's just one of those guys who thinks like us, where it's I've made my millions. I don't have anything else to prove.
Yeah.
Why take on this extra work and extra pressure? That sounds like such an anxiety-filled position.
Yeah, that's fine.
What a headache. I'm just going to go to UCLA. I can do no wrong. And guess what? If I do, they fire me, and I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
he'll be back in Southern California, sunny. Again, like you said, where his career started, and just the ability to mold and shape. And you got to respect a guy who does want to do that. I think that we're talking about optics again. Don't like the optics of it. But again, this might be pressure that he has not put on himself, that has been placed on him. And there's the potential that he's just maybe running away from that. And not in a bad way, just kind of taking ownership over that in a way that should be respected when maybe we're being a little too harsh in criticizing him for
I really want to get an idea what type of team you can build, because it would be built on optics. Like, how successful would
be such a
your
bad team.
NFL
You
or
never rush a court.
terrible.
NBA team?
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's just all about they all interview well.
Yeah.
They're all great in post game.
Be a whole bunch of white guys.
Oh,
All
come
white
on.
guys.
It's not true. I have one token black guy. No.
That's not any better.
There's a sign in the locker room that says "Shut up and dribble."
Oh, no. Shut fuck
Any
you.
outspoken guys, you're off the team.
Yeah.
Not good for optics.
Not a good optics guy. No rushing the field, bad optics. No rushing the court, bad optics. No running up the score, bad optics.
No touchdown celebrations.
Bad optics. Don't kick the field goal just to cover the spread, bad optics.
It would be optics and gambling fucking driven.
Yeah.
Check the spread at halftime to see what we are live.
Yeah, I would make sure that our title sponsor was like a sunglasses or a glasses company, so it would be like optical type of a thing, you know.
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
I got it. I didn't want to address it.
A couple of things that we can address in the NBA before we get out of here. Interestingly enough, to see that Klay Thompson has looked pretty good, except for there was I think his second game coming off the bench was very, very bad. But overall, the experiment of him coming off the bench in about 5 or 6 games has proved to be pretty good.
It's good to see. There was a part of me that was like, I was feeling sad, because you usually don't feel bad for people like that if they're like fighting it. They're like, how dare you? I'm Klay Thompson. I scored 37 in one quarter. I'm a star player out of 4 rings. But he literally, he took that on the chin. And he's like, I'm playing like shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get my
Maybe
game
I don't
back.
have it anymore.
Yeah, and he had that, like, you had to have sympathy. And then he goes off and scores like 25 points.
Yeah.
Had a below average game, and then he drops like 23 the following game with 5 threes. And it's like, you can see the whole team is like, this is great to fucking see.
Yeah.
Like, you're
And
not done.
I think in one of those games, too, 23 of those points came in the first half. I mean, he didn't do shit in the second half, but it still is like to be able to rattle that off.
Well, and talking about pressure, it's like sometimes when you're getting later in your career, not having that pressure is great.
For sure.
Just kind of being like, you know what, I'm going to come in when they need me and do the best that I can do. And obviously he's taking advantage of it.
And if that's your sixth man and he can perform like that,
that's dangerous.
You can't write off Golden State. That could be very dangerous for other teams.
Yeah, he has been very introspective this year, almost in like a loathsome Winnie the Pooh kind of a way, which has been a little sad to see.
Yeah.
He's also in thinking some of the money that he has cost himself this year. He almost Dennis Schroeder'd himself. We all know that Dennis Schroeder had like $70 million on the table from the Lakers. It was like, nah, I'm gonna test this. But in the offseason, I think that they had like a 2 or 3 year extension for like 25 a year or something like that, and he was like, no, I'm gonna play it out. He's gonna be unrestricted this year. What does that mean? Does he still want to do this? Does he sign back on with the Warriors and be a lifer with the Warriors, but then probably not at 24, 25 a year, especially. But you have to admire any player. We saw it with guys like Dirk Nowitzki, who developed a longer range game as he got older. Maybe the path for a guy like Klay Thompson is to come off the bench or anything of that nature. There's no shame. I mean, Jamal Crawford made a freaking career out of being a sixth man.
Yeah, and it's not like you're going to question his accomplishments. He's won
never.
4 rings.
Never.
He was
the
Scottie Pippen to Steph Curry's Michael Jordan for all of those championship years, and it's
but better in some ways, I would say.
Yeah, he was. I just think you have to appreciate a player that is not only trying still, but can put up those numbers. because it's not a small thing to come back from those injuries. And not for how you play physically, but mentally what it does to you to come back from a season-ending injury and still be able to perform. That shit gets in your way. Like, a lot more than, like, thinking you're going to get hurt, but, like, mentally questioning yourself. So much of the, like, all of these guys in the NBA can play. But the best guys have the most confidence. And that's what it takes away from you when you come back from those injuries. Is like, do I still got it?
No, for sure. And the one thing I was trying to see if I could segue into whether or not what's been going on with LeBron James and Bronny James. Bronny James has been taking off some mock drafts as to not be a first-round pick. And it's funny because people were bringing back LeBron's comments being like, oh, man, I'm seeing some of the guys play here early in the season. Bronny would freaking cook these guys, and then Bronny gets pulled off of these mock drafts, and LeBron's just like, just let the guy live, just let him grow and be great, just progress and be greater and all that. And I just kind of thought it was just kind of like, all right, if you don't get involved in the first place, then none of this would be an issue here. You are almost the one who is creating this extra pressure. Just let the kid, just stay out of it. We don't need you.
His presence and how he's on social media is absolutely a detriment to his son.
Yeah.
But the whole injury or that heart attack still plays into it. Like, the kid's not playing well in college. He's not. There's 5 or 6 guys at USC better than him that are going to get drafted ahead of him, unless LeBron has something to do with it. But I think LeBron makes it really easy to criticize him for all the shit he does on X.
Yeah.
Everything that he posts. But
because there's always a counter argument to something that he says.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you take away him as a superstar, and then you just go look at him as a parent. What do you do as a parent? It's hard. Like, you can't criticize other parents for how they raise their kids or what they do. That's fucking tough to do. Parenting is hard.
Sure.
But what is he dealing with? Something with his kid, another potential basketball player that's following his footsteps. There's got to be something there that's like hard to maneuver around.
Sure.
Am I a dad? Am I an NBA star? How do I approach this?
But I think that, like, as a dad, you can still say, bro, like, look at these guys, like, and do it privately to where, like, you can cook these guys. I know you can. I know that you've had a hard year and everything like that, but you don't have to put it on social media and do all of that.
It's the social media shit.
It's the social media side of
like
things. I have no problem with him saying it.
If you feel the need to be social and be public on social media, just be a dad and be supportive of your son. Don't be comparing him.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing in parenting I think everybody knows is don't make comparisons.
For sure.
You know? Why can't you be like your sister? That's the last thing you should say to your kid.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Or so-and-so's raising their kid this way. Why can't you do the same? Well, everyone has different situations, and, like, you can't necessarily do what parent A and B are doing versus what you can do.
Yeah, it's like we have plenty of parents around us in life. And sure, I look at them or whatever, and it's like, oh, gosh, I wouldn't do that way. But I try to always tell myself or preface these statements with, like, but I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also someone would say the same thing about the way you
Exactly.
parent.
Exactly.
They're like, well, I wouldn't do it that way. I mean, everyone has their own way of doing it.
Man, look at Jesse. He's being so good to his girl. Why can't you be more like Jesse Braxton?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But really, the point is like, I just feel like he's handling it wrong. And
for sure.
Bron obviously has always been a little outspoken, especially on social media and in general. But it's like, gosh, putting your son in that position it's difficult.
Yeah, it's already hard enough, and
hard to see.
And now people are going to be like using those types of words. I think that, like, yes, you should be able to say what he says in both of those tweets to his son.
Yeah.
but don't say it publicly because you're under a microscope so much, and people are just waiting to glob onto those things and to use them.
You're setting an expectation.
I feel bad for the kid because he's gonna get the brunt of the mistakes that everyone, including his own dad, will learn from.
Yeah,
and his brother is going to be able to deal with it better because things will be corrected when it's his time.
Yeah, for sure.
And Bronny's the oldest. He's named after his dad. He is gonna get all the hate that his dad currently has and will get in the future.
I mean, yeah.
I feel bad for him.
And he might get that first-round draft pick just because he's LeBron's son. And just because they think, oh, well, LeBron wants to play with his son, maybe we get LeBron if we take Bronny. And then it doesn't work out. And Bronny doesn't last. And he doesn't get into a good situation. I just see it all going not great.
It definitely fits the narrative that NBA is entertainment because it will sell. Whether or not it works, it will sell. And that's ultimately...
But will it win?
But...
You know,
a lot of people have made the claim that the NBA is very similar to WWE. I mean, the rules are not being
butts in the seats
called. It's just whatever sells the seats, and it's almost like winning a secondary, which is bullshit. If you're a fan who truly loves basketball, you fucking hate that. But it fits the whole. They're not calling anything if it's good for offense. I mean, you can take 17 steps to shoot a basket.
That's true. You can foul guys multiple ways, just like we saw in that Knicks and Pistons game. We have, I saw a clip a couple days ago where it looked like Wemby was like a literal character out of Space Jam. The extension on the dunk. It was wild. And, we were talking a little bit earlier about like Rookie of the Year, Wemby versus Chet, that type of thing. I don't know exactly where the odds are now.
Well, they're the top two, but like, I don't know how you guys feel about players that it's not their first year in the league, but it's their first year playing.
Yeah.
I hate that
I
shit.
hate it too.
Like, why should you be in the conversation of Rookie of the Year? They don't do that in the NFL.
They don't.
You don't win Offensive Rookie of the Year if you're Jordan Love and you sat out and this is your first year. Technically, Jordan Love would be considered for Offensive Rookie of the Year this last season. Based on the NBA's rules, right?
Yeah, no,
that'd
absolutely.
be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think it is a little odd because, like, guys get hurt, you miss it, and that's just not your journey. That's just not your life. Blake Griffin gets hurt, Ben Simmons gets hurt. Those things where they miss their rookie year, then all of a sudden they have the potential accolades. The thing is that like in that year that you're hurt, you're still in the NBA, on an NBA team, with NBA minds, with the NBA treatment. Like, you're in the NBA, and regardless of whether or not you're actually playing, I 100% agree. It just
Bullshit.
like
it's a little odd.
It sucks that like it did it. That's not your journey. That's not your path. It doesn't. I don't think winning Rookie of the Year has any impact on your future salaries. I could be wrong.
Look at fucking Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
He is a perfect example of somebody who won it on his second or third year.
Blake Griffin won it on his second year.
But like, be consistent. Why are we only doing this for Rookie of the Year? What if someone was having an MVP season and they go down to injury? I mean, technically we can change shit because of that, right?
Yeah.
But why should Wemby, who is playing out of his mind numbers wise,
have to compete against a guy like Chet who's in his second year?
Yeah. I mean, Chet has a serious case to win Rookie of the Year because his team is second in the West.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs are like bottom. I think they're the second worst team in the entire league. But Wemby's putting up 22 and 10 as a fucking skinny ass rookie. I know he's 8 foot tall, but still.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest.
So is Chet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest. I mean, like, they've got load management rules where, you can disqualify a person from, getting MVP, which does actually impact whether or not they get paid a certain amount or anything like that. They reach certain thresholds within their contract. So it is interesting that they have selected this as something. I'd be interested. We saw, or there was a report about Adam Silver saying we're going to look at the All-Star game and whether or not we can make sure this doesn't favor offense. They're looking at things consistently. It just kind of seems like why is this one still a thing? The
only thing that makes sense to me is that it's a relatively small league.
Yeah, it's 400 guys, more or less.
Comparatively to NFL, MLB, all these other leagues.
But Chet wins it this year. Say Chet wins it this year over Wemby. And you just go, well, that's not accurate,
No, I agree, but I'm just thinking of the reasoning behind having this rule. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I get it where you could entertain more people because it's a smaller league. I mean, it's 350 players or something, but outside of Wemby possibly getting fucked out of it, the people that are really getting fucked are the ones who should be considered for second, third, fourth, but they're not because Chet's there. Mm-hmm. What about those other rookies? They're not even being looked at or talked about because you're considering a second-year, third-year player to be in the running for Rookie of the Year.
They almost should, consider having two separate awards. Like having a Rookie of the Year and first-year player.
Just like how the NFL gives the MVP to a quarterback and then having an offensive player of the year, which is complete bullshit.
Yes.
At this
split it up.
Yeah, at this point, you've got Wemby, then you've got Chet, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, and I mean it's just kind of not even close after those. I mean even Brandon Miller's at like plus 15,000. So I guess if it was like Wemby and Miller and Henderson, then you're just kind of like, well, this is a runaway. So is it like artificially padding some sort of potential?
Well, it's a runaway because Wemby is playing that well.
Yeah. I know he
shouldn't be punished for that.
Double after he had a 5x5 game, which was insane.
Yeah.
Didn't he have a triple-double with blocks?
I think that's right. Yeah.
He was close to a quintuple double.
A quintuple double, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like nine assists or 9 steals.
Yeah. Well, he definitely had the 5x5, but yeah, I didn't know if it was like.
I thought he was close. I thought he was 1 steal away from getting 5.
No, I think he had the 5x5.
Oh.
Which was the points, steals, blocks, assists, and
5 patties, 5 slices of cheese.
All those things. Very hard to do. But either way, so yeah, maybe there's artificially trying to drum up competition when it would otherwise be a runaway for one player.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Fuck Chet.
Final thing before we get out of here, I'm very interested to see what you're most excited about going on your honeymoon.
It's like this sex mostly.
Aside from the honeymoon sex, because you could do that here.
No. Vacation sex.
European sex is naughty.
No, vacation sex in general is
she has
significantly better. Vacation sex is some of the best.
It is. It's great.
Jet lag sex. It's lazy.
Naps afterwards. Okay.
I
was gonna say, what are you most excited to eat? And you go, her. And be like, never mind. Okay.
No.
You could have sex regularly at home. It does not compare to vacation sex. You disrespect the room. You have a zero care for who's coming after you and staying in that room.
Those aren't my sheets.
Yeah, they're not my curtains. They're not. That's not my fish tank. I'm jizzing in that fish tank. I don't give a fuck.
There's always a fish tank.
Yeah, you could pull a Kanye West and like get head on a gondola. Right?
Probably not.
Probably not. Way. Okay. But either way, I imagine you're quite excited to also
very, very
see
excited.
things, and I know what you're excited to do, but what are you excited
the food,
to see?
The wine, and I mean, it's Italy. The history, I mean, being able to see the Colosseum, the Statue of David, you're
going to have to let us know how
Tower of
his
Pisa.
dick and balls look in person.
Small.
You gonna challenge somebody to a fight in the Coliseum?
Maybe. If I bring my sword.
Your sword?
You can rent them.
No, I'm very excited. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the flight.
That's a long ass.
It's a long ass.
What are you planning on doing? What do you bring in? A phone, an iPad? Are you just going to rely on the screen in front of you for the
I'm going to have my
entertainment?
phone. I'm downloading some shows. I'm bringing my Nintendo Switch.
He's going to binge official IJMS.
Oh, yeah.
IJMS.
Oh,
Got a long
It
flight
does
like that,
make
you
sense.
could finish a fucking show.
Yeah.
I mean, you could finish multiple shows
Yeah.
with like multiple
At
seasons.
least a mini series.
I don't watch a lot of movies. So I'm going to find some movies that I can download.
Knock out 2.5 hours or some shit, like
exactly,
long ones.
Exactly.
But yeah, like a little, like maybe even like a 9-episode,
Can
True Detective or something.
Can
like
I
that.
suggest one?
Sure.
I mean, I can't make you watch it, but I don't think I would be shocked if you've seen it. There's not a lot of people that have seen it. The best sports documentary ever made.
Okay.
It's almost 4 hours.
Okay.
Hoop Dreams.
Okay.
Hoop Dreams is the best sports documentary
On what?
ever. I have no fucking idea.
Perfect.
I've seen it 10 times. I haven't seen it recently, but Hoop Dreams was they followed a kid from when he was in middle school all the way to college. It's straight dedication. They followed his journey
Let me
in
guess,
basketball.
he didn't make it.
He made it.
Okay.
But this was around like Isaiah Thomas years.
Okay.
And St. Joe's and Marquette. But it is one of the greatest sports documentaries ever.
Apparently,
and
it's
it'll knock
everywhere.
out 4 hours for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It apparently is everywhere. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Watch it. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm beyond excited. Especially just to have 2 weeks off.
Yeah, for sure.
You kidding me?
You kidding me? Window seat, aisle seat, middle seat.
We're working that out.
Okay, yeah.
And what better time to leave the Northwest than in fucking February?
Yeah, where it's freaking
March, beginning of
snowing.
March.
Was it snowing at your guys' house
Yeah.
a couple?
Woke up to
yeah,
some
oh
snow.
My God,
Yeah.
chill out.
But yeah, we're going to do our best to take full advantage of the fact that we're on our honeymoon.
Ooh, lose 40 pounds on a strict diet of blow.
Oh, not anymore.
If you're
Well,
going to do it in Italy.
Johnny Manziel yourself.
They got
so.
the clean stuff.
Well, we will miss you, Braxton, the
Thank
next
you.
couple of weeks. But
I might have set the record for yawns per pod this episode. I apologize. I'm not. I'm just a
yeah,
little
were you
sleepy.
even excited to see us today?
I worked 7 days in a row.
Is this our
Not because I don't love you.
last show recorded in in house? Or
No.
will there be
We'll
more?
we'll have a grand. We'll just take a sledgehammer through this whole thing. No, we can't do that. They expect. We've got. I think that we're through through March.
We're gonna make Peter do a punishment.
for the last one in this house. Bring back all of them and do it all in one night.
Every time I say optics, you take a shot.
But we won't tell you that that's happening. So.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your honeymoon. We are jealous.
Thank you.
We will.
Italia.
And I won't miss the fact that you've been like force feeding us tequila shots the last few
You
weeks.
guys need to nut up.
It's Tuesday. You know?
Italia. Do Clear Eyes Full Hearts Can't Lose in Italian.
I don't know. A full of hearts.
I'll look it
I
up.
can't lose. No, you just say
yeah.
it. You just say it, but you do this with your
The
hand.
poop with the papa. A
Clear eyes.
full of hearts.
I can't lose.
Actually need to know.